Okay, let's get right into the build. You'll need 7 10-foot deck boards for this project. I am making it out of cedar, so that's what I got. The first step will be determining how big you want your hexagon planter to be. I'm going to make it 56 inches wide, so each board needs to be 28 inches long, which is half of 56. And since it's a hexagon, the angles on the end of the boards will have to be 30 degrees. You could set up a stop block to make this easier, but there's only 18 of them to cut, and I found it pretty fast just to measure as I go. The only thing you have to remember to do is flip the deck board over after each cut. That way your miters are going in the right direction. The planter box is going to be made up of 3 layers of hexagons made up from those deck boards that I just cut. Here I have one of the layers completed. You can see I did not miter the corners together. I used butt joints and then I screwed them in on each end. I didn't use any glue or anything like that. There is a reason I didn't use miter joints, and I don't know if it is a significant reason or if it makes a difference, but I'll show you kind of later my reasoning behind doing it this way. And here you can just see me screwing each piece together. Okay, I got 2 layers done now, and here I'm going to show you why I used butt joints instead of miters. You can see on each layer I'm kind of flipping it the opposite way, so they kind of stagger each other. And I think that's going to make for a stronger joint. I'm not 100% positive, but that's the way I did it. And then onto the 3rd layer, and again I switched the direction of how I screwed it together, so they're kind of staggered back and forth. The next step is to make the corners, so I set my table saw to 30 degrees, which is the theme for today. With a hexagon, pretty much everything is 30 degrees. I split a deck board right down the middle using that 30-degree angle to create 2 sides of the corner. Since I'm using 3 layers of hexagons and each layer is 5.5 inches wide, I need legs that are about 16.5 long. And here you can see me gluing those 2 halves together. It's hard to glue something like this. It's such a weird angle, so I used the hexagon itself, or the garden bed itself, to kind of rest the corner against. Threw some brad nails into it, and then I screwed it, and that tightened it up pretty well. Once I had those corners glued and screwed together, I went to the inside of my garden bed and screwed the corners to the hexagon layers. And I just used 1 screw per layer to hold it in place. All the corners are done, and now it's time to start working on the top trim. The top trim piece is done similarly to the sides of the hexagon, but I only wanted the top trim to be 2.25 inches wide. So I first ripped it down on my table saw, and for the 30-degree bevel for the hexagon, I actually stood them on edge and cut my 30-degree bevel on one end, flipped it, and now I'm cutting the 30-degree bevel on the other end. And if you've done everything correctly, you'll end up with a nice hexagon for the trim. I decided to use some dowels to hold this top trim piece together, and this jig is really easy. It's self-centering, it has 2 holes, and you just kind of draw a line on each board and drill the holes to the right depth, and then you got yourself a little dowel joint, and these should hold up pretty well. Okay, and now we are almost ready for install. Once the glue had dried on the top hexagon trim, I screwed it to the frame, and I didn't use any glue just in case those needed to be replaced. And I'm actually going to be trying to cover up this old stump. Instead of paying the money to get it removed, it's kind of in a nice sunny location, and I just remulched it, put this bed right over top of that stump, and then I can fill it with dirt. I'm actually going to try something different this year. My wife really wants pumpkins, so my thought is that since this is a hexagon, I can plant one pumpkin plant, or seed I guess, in each corner and have that vine go off the side and all the pumpkins grow on the mulch around it. We'll see if it works.